Hey, what's up, all you huntermen and huntresses out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm back with another episode review of RWBY. This time it's Season seven's Episode 6, titled A Night Off, which is not what any of these people being arrested are getting after the riot that started last episode. Uh, Naturally, you're seeing the after effects. All these people being arrested. Like, if this is not a topical season for this year, I don't know what is. But we have all these people being arrested after the rioting that started. The one drunk guy's friend who tripped over his own feet, he got really pissed off about the fact that he couldn't go into this one place to buy any form of dust and all that, non-essential businesses and all that good stuff. We also see the one drunk guy going to the polls. Again, very topical. And, it very much, you question where his vote is ultimately going. But it seems like Robin Hill is a shoo-in to win, as she goes over the fact that, you know, she's just about helping the people. She also has to kind of answer for the fact that a lot of the people that would vote for her, a lot of the people who were involved in the riots, they're one and the same. They're all the same kind of people, but ultimately it's the downtrodden. There's a reason for that. It's the normal, everyday, average people. That's what Robin Hill represents, and that's who ended up just kind of losing it at that last moment. But we also get a moment of Team RWBY as well as Team Ranger, as well as Oscar, going for a little bit of training, with Oscar kind of being a little down on himself that he hasn't discovered his semblance yet. But, Jean's semblance is starting to kind of improve. Ruby is discovering new ways that her semblance can kind of work out, which is kind of weird because it can split over and across certain things. So, there's a lot of development there. But in comes Ironwood. I'm very impressed with their training and their improvement, but also kind of going over the election that's currently going on. And the fact that it kind of seems like Robin Hill is a shoo-in to win for the most part. But with him not feeling very easy about potentially working with Robin Hill, the rest of the team is kind of like, well, at least Nora and Ruby kind of feel that Ironwood should be more open with Robin, and that could actually alleviate a lot of the problems that they've been having. But Ironwood is unsure of a lot of that. But he hasn't just come in to talk politics, he's come to give them a night off so they can rest because, well, after today, it'll be a different world that they live in. So everybody gets ready for their different activities, with Weiss being none too happy with the fact that it seems weird that her dad would just kind of shut things down right before elections. Like, nothing about what he did sits right with her because it feels like it's just going to, would have just caused some problems, which it seems to be doing. He's losing in the polls, so it's just like, what was his plan here? It doesn't seem right, but everybody else kind of dismisses it. A deadly mistake. As we see Blake getting prepared for a night on the town with Yang, as they'll be going out to a dance party with Team Funky, which I really need to look into what their names actually stand for, because I was just like, oh, Team Finky? Finky? Like, oh man, y'all let me just completely keep saying that name wrong for all this time. Team Funky. Mm, I have some words about that, but poor literacy is cool and all that good stuff. So they're going out to go dancing 'cause they girlfriends and they gay like that. All good. Ruby is heading out with Nora and Ren. I blanked on his name for a second. Nora and Ren to go to Robin Hill's assembly all electors kind of have that kind of thing where they assemble right before the polling results to kind of see where things are headed. But it's basically kind of like a victory party because it seems pretty obvious that she's gonna win. But they're heading out because they feel that Robin Hill is someone they can get behind, that they can actually support. Whereas Weiss is just gonna tag along with Jean and Oscar because they offered to go to the movies, and she had really nothing else that she was interested in doing. Meanwhile, headed to Robin Hill's rally, we have a little bit of a discussion between Nora, Ruby, and Ren, which is a grouping we don't see too often, despite the fact that she was on their team for a while. Ruby was on their team with Jean during like Volume 4, so a very interesting little grouping. But the claims that, well, it starts to kind of come to an argument, specifically between Nora and Ren, with Nora feeling that they should actually just have a moment to just, have some downtime, like just see this place and live in the moment. But Ren feels that they should tell Ironwood about what's going on. They should be more open, and he's questioning, how are we supposed to defeat Salem? What are we supposed to do? He's very worried about all of this because of the nature of his character. He's very pragmatic, and he's questioning, shouldn't we be training? Shouldn't we be developing our skills more? How are we going to take down Salem? What are we going to do? So, and whereas Nora doesn't want to get too worried about the current situation, all Ren can do is be worried about their current situation. But they get to the rally where Penny as well as Marrow are on guard duty. Ultimately, there comes an argument between Ren and Nora because they've been having a thing going on where Nora just speaks out on the fact that Ren sees Blake and Yang as just friends, and then Nora kind of wonders, are you sure it's just friends? Don't they seem like they've been through a lot? Don't they seem closer than usual? So it's very obvious they're talking about each other and the questionable status of the relationship. Are they a couple? Are they not a couple? Why does Ren seem to be kind of slinking away from the idea of being a couple? It's kind of obvious that he has some misgivings because anything could happen to either of them, and maybe they shouldn't get too close and blah blah blah. So Ruby kind of slinks away with Penny to the back of the stage, where Marrow is in a bit of a discussion with Robin Hill and her happy huntresses. Whereas he's trying to convince them that, he's here for guard duty. Ironwood sent them to make sure that nothing bad happens. But it's a situation where, a lot of the happy huntresses don't really believe that they're needed here, that they're here to cause a little bit of trouble. But, Robin kind of disperses this, saying that ultimately they'll be working together in the end, so they might as well start getting along and yada yada yada. Marrow's kind of a little bit in doubt in Robin Hill because he feels that a lot of the methods that she's employed has been, not lawful. But Robin kind of snaps back, saying that the law isn't perfect, which she's right. But it's something that Marrow should be fully aware of, which he is, but he still believes in it and feels that laws are put in place to help people, and a very politically charged discussion, all things considered. Again, it was very topical for this year. But Marrow basically tells Ruby to GT the FO because, he doesn't want him and Penny to be distracted from their job of making sure that nothing goes down at this rally. But Ruby only comes back to Ren and Nora still kind of hashing things out. So as Robin begins her speech and it starts to kind of look like a closer race than before, she goes on about the fact that, only together that they'll be able to move forward towards the future, something that resonates within both Nora and Ren. And as Robin kind of notices that the election is starting to look very, very close. But her team kind of assures her that, no, it'll be fine. There's no issues here. And there's definitely an issue here. Nora just brings Ren in for a massive kiss to kind of just get him over this funk that he's been in. Not really just accepting that maybe it's okay if you want to be happy. Unfortunately, Arthur Watts is behind the scenes and is getting ready to manipulate some data, cause a little bit of a disruption, as we see that Tyrion is in the crowd. And Ruby notices him far too late to stop him as the lights go off and he starts slaughtering the people in the crowd. Only for Penny to be the only person who can actually see him with her night vision, but his stealth is too great and he's able to sneak off. So, as Tyrion continues to slay people, Arthur starts to record this, overlaying images of him with Penny, doctoring the footage and making it seem that Penny is the one slaying the people. We also see Tyrion's semblance at work where he can disrupt people's aura and he goes in and manages to injure Flora Thyme, I believe it is, who is very close to Robin, a very big believer in Robin and one of her happy huntresses. So he manages to cut into her without any aura, which, greatly injures her. And Penny manages to push Robin out of the way, but Robin sees this as Penny attacking her. And when the lights come on, all the people who are still left blame Penny for what happens, feeling that it was, Ironwood's robot who attacked the people. And everyone starts to rush the stage. Ruby does her best to help Flora Thyme, because, she's basically bleeding out. Nora and Ren rush to the stage. Ruby tells them, hey, it was Tyrion. He's here, but he's nowhere to be seen. Robin Hill ends up pushing Ruby out of the way, feeling that she was a part of all this. Marrow has to issue the stay command on the crowd because they're starting to rush them, in order to get back at them, to take them down, Ruby tries to pull Marrow away as Marrow tries to explain to Robin that this was not something that they wanted. This was not Atlas military trying to do anything, but it's already too late, obviously. But Arthur uploads the footage that he doctored, just waiting to see what happens, as we see that ultimately it was Jacques who ended up winning the election, much to dismay as all the people, as everything just kind of descends into chaos. It's pretty obvious he was not supposed to win. As chaos breaks out, Penny is dazed and in a stupor over everything that happened. Ultimately, Marrow tells Penny to head back to Atlas, because honestly, her presence here is just going to cause more trouble. But trouble is already here, as with all the fear and the terror that's going around, that has attracted Grimm, meaning that our team is in for a long night, as various different griffins, I think they're called, descend. Manticore, there we go, Manticore, as the Manticore Grimm descend upon Mantle. Oof, what a intense episode. I never would have saw something like this coming. Just the slaughter of a crowd of people. Like, not a lot of people died, but enough people died to the point where it's just like, ooh, and because there was already a lot of distrust in Ironwood, of course it was easy to get people to blame Penny, with nobody really listening to Ruby because nobody really knows who Ruby is. But, not to mention the election going in Jacques' favor, that also kind of feels like it was obviously Arthur just manipulating the data and the polls and all that good stuff. But manipulation of the polls, also very topical. But what a brutal and terrifying plan to just manipulate, to frame Penny of all people, probably the sweetest people around. I can only imagine what she's going through. It was Fiona Thyme. Fiona Thyme. But Fiona being attacked, what's that going to do for Robin? Is she going to hunt down Ironwood and the rest of them because of this? Is she going to end up believing Ruby at all? And the fact that she knows who attacked Fiona. She outright knows. She saw him before everything went down. She knows Tyrion. But will the rest of the Happy Huntresses actually be able to believe her with everything that's going down? Or will it just add more onto the tension between Robin and Ironwood and just the people in Ironwood? But man, what a devastating way to end things out. Poor, poor Penny. I can only imagine where things will go from here. But, you know, tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. What did you think about the plan that came about Arthur and Tyrion infiltrating Mantle and all the manipulation? Did you feel that it was a very cruel and interesting plan, or do you feel like nobody should have bought into this? There was plenty of build up to it, I feel. Very deep and interesting. But, again, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this review, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on the next episode review of RWBY. And until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.